Creating a peaceful path to leave. Ukraine and Russia make progress but fail to negotiate a ceasefire.
Ukrainians are very friendly. We don't want to have war. We want just peace.
And the bill that's created quite a buzz at the state capitol.
Without pollinators, we don't have Colorado agriculture. And if we don't have pollinators, we don't have food.
Hey, you see anyone under here? No. I gotta get you guys out, okay? Hey, so the main floor is collapsed completely.
Well, first at 5, we just received this body cam video from the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office showing the moments deputies arrived on scene after a floor collapse during a house party in Aurora.
And in this video, you can see just how destroyed that home is. It's on East Princeton Place. This was after the collapse, obviously. And South Metro says at least 100 people were in that house at one point. 3 teenagers were injured in the collapse. It happened over the weekend. 1 seriously injured. And the DA's office has declined to file any criminal charges. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us at 5. I'm Ann Trujillo.
And I'm Shannon Ogden. Glad you're with us tonight. Today, the Douglas County School Board interviewed its 2 finalists for the district's next superintendent.
It has been nearly 1 month since the newly conservative board voted to fire former Superintendent Corey Wise. And board members are moving quickly to get his replacement set. Denver 7's Ivan Rodriguez begins our in-depth coverage tonight. He joins us live now from Castle Rock.
So, Ivan, you were there for the interviews, and it really did show how divided the board is.
It did. The interviews took about 3 hours, and we had the chance to hear from both Aaron Kane and Danny Windsor. Both of them also touched on the current polarization within the district, the culture, and the best path forward. Thursday afternoon, Executive Director of Schools for American Academy, Aaron Kane, and Danny Windsor, the Executive Director of Schools for the Parker region, who also oversees the district's choice programming department, made their case for why they should be the next superintendent.
One of my goals is to always respect views that differ from mine or from each other or whatever it might be, to respect and listen and do everything I can to accommodate where people are at.
Douglas County School District needs to be a community school district, and you have to systemically approach to do that. And that means I need to be able to hear the hard things about that are not going well in this district, and I also need to hear the things that are going well and building upon those things.
Both of them are focused on creating a better climate within the district, as well as strengthening teachers through compensation and by making sure they know they're valued.
I'm always passionate about doing things with evidence-based and scientifically based practices. But that climate and culture piece is incredibly important.
One of the greatest concerns I have, Director Hansen in particular, is about trying to staff special education. That is a huge concern for me. And that's not only just from special education, it's teaching shortages in general.
Outside the meeting, some people voiced concerns with the current board and hiring a new superintendent.
It's more divided than ever. We're going to start a recall motion at the end of May, which is the earliest we can do it. There will be a recall of these 4 members.
While others appreciate the process and look forward to a new superintendent getting to work.
All the controversy is manufactured outrage by a few that are very upset and have sour grapes about the election. I think they'd both be great choices, and I think we all just need to focus on unification, getting the district back together.
The district says the final public comment session before a superintendent could potentially be hired is March 22nd, after which the board could, again, potentially vote on that superintendent. Live in Castle Rock, Ivan Rodriguez, Denver 7.
And the Douglas County Board's hiring process is going much quicker than it has in other large districts in our state. Putting it in perspective for you tonight, Denver Public Schools took around 6 months to find their current superintendent, and that process included more than 30 meetings with community groups and parents. It took Jefferson County about 8 months to choose a finalist back in 2020, and Tracy Dorland then became the superintendent a whole month later. Both Denver and Jeffco hired outside firms to help them search and select the candidate. And Douglas County has not hired an outside firm to help and will make their decision in the span of a month.
Over the years, local school boards have become a lot more political than they used to be. All school board candidates run under a nonpartisan title, but that doesn't mean you can't tell which way they lean on the political spectrum. And now more districts across the country are allowing school board candidates to tie themselves to a political party. In Tennessee, for example, a new law allows school districts to have partisan school board races with candidates running as Democrat or Republican.
I feel that the best thing you can do for the voter is give them as much information as possible. There already is partisanship. If it's nonpartisan, in my personal opinion, you don't know where they stand.
Those against the partisan races say it could force all school board decisions to primary elections, which could make campaigning even more divisive.
Talks between Ukraine and Russia did not end in a ceasefire today. However, the two sides did agree to establish a peaceful corridor to safely evacuate citizens from Ukraine. The UN says now more than 1 million Ukrainians have already fled the country.
We ask Russian president, we ask all Russians, please stop the war because it's really so dangerous.
Today, Russia's President Vladimir Putin spoke on the phone with French President Emmanuel Macron. Now, France says Putin confirmed he will keep pushing his military forward. Macron fears, quote, the worst is yet to come in Ukraine. And today, the U.S. issued new sanctions targeting Russian oligarchs, and the White House says humanitarian relief will be offered to Ukrainians living here in the U.S.
A former police officer who shot into Breonna Taylor's apartment during the fatal Kentucky raid was found not guilty on all 3 counts of felony wanton endangerment. A jury sided with the defense, which argued Brett Hankison was reasonable in firing his weapon into Taylor's apartment after witnessing a fellow officer get shot. Hankison is the only officer to have been charged in the incident, and the district attorney refused to press charges in Breonna Taylor's death because her boyfriend fired the first shot. Arapahoe County deputies shot and killed a man this morning while checking out a reported stolen car. This happened near East Harvard in Quebec. Deputies say they ordered the man out of the car, but they say the driver then started to back the car up towards them. Deputies say they did find a gun inside the car, but it was not used. Colorado lawmakers are talking about limiting the use of certain pesticides in order to protect the state's ecosystem and wildlife. And one of the biggest talking points, protecting our state bees.
As Denver 7's Rob Harris reports, protecting bees protects how and what we eat.
It's hard to find the exact numbers behind bee decline, and all of the causes behind it are still being debated too. And that's one of the reasons this bill was introduced before the Colorado State Legislature, to start studying this issue across the state. What we do know, based on conversations I've had with bee experts today, is that the topic of bee decline has been around since the early 2000s. And there's a lot of feeling that the actions we take right now could literally determine what we're able to eat in the years to come.
Bees are dying off at an alarming rate. Without pollinators, we don't have Colorado agriculture. And if we don't have pollinators, we don't have food.
State Senator Sonia Jaquez Lewis is one of the sponsors of this bill, and she even wore her bee pin to work today to drive home the message. According to the USDA, pollinators like bees are responsible for 1 in every 3 bites of food we take, and they increase our nation's crop values by more than $15 billion per year. Losing them could be catastrophic.
So we really need to address what chemicals are killing off bees.
The bill before the committee today was controversial, with more than 90 people signed up to speak during public comment, both in favor and opposed. But regardless of the outcome of this bill, groups in Colorado are taking matters into their own hands to protect our pollinators. Colorado State's Native Bee Watch program is one of them. They're a group of volunteers, and they work together to track Colorado's more than 900 species of bees and identify which may need to be added to the endangered species list.
Bee diversity is so important, and we don't fully understand what risk, how much of a risk they're at. So that brings in the importance of doing the research. If we think about all the benefits we have from plants in our ecosystems and around our home, we have pollinators to thank for that.
What was clear from today's hearing and from the bee losses the state is already suffering is that their survival is no longer a given. Rob Harris, Denver 7.
There's no shortage of technology in this facility.
Raising the standard for smart living.
A Colorado-based company is reimagining how we integrate technology into our homes.
The focus here was to really push the envelope on how much can we hide.
Plus, owning a home remains out of reach for many in the metro.
I personally have been seeing if you have more than 10 offers, it could go 10% over asking just as easily.
And looking to get a ski pass for next season? Better start saving up.
The price of an Icon Pass just took another big jump.